Hello, and welcome to Beering in Mind Beer Reviews. We're in the middle of a series of beers from the Cooper's Brewery in Australia, and today we will look at the third one, and that is this one. It's called Cooper's Sparkling Ale, and it's called a blonde or golden ale, according to RateBeer, but actually this is the sparkling ale style is the only style that's really recognized as an Australian style, and we'll talk about it in a second, why it's special. Cooper's has been around for a long time. Thomas Cooper emigrated from the UK to Australia in 1852 and began the brewery in 1862. And it has been sitting in its current location since 1881. Cooper's is the largest Australian-owned brewery in Australia. The two behemoths, the monsters, are Lion Nathan, which is actually owned by the Japanese conglomerate Kirin, and Carlton, which is owned by SAB Miller. And those two together have about 90% of the total market for beer in Australia. Cooper's has about 4.5%, so they're the largest independent and Australian-owned company. So they've been going as a family business now in the 6th generation of family owners for this business. Now, the sparkling ale, it's bottle fermented style, and the yeast sediment, unfiltered beer, the yeast sediment is an important part of this beer. It's not really sparkling, as we'll see, but people are trying to get the yeast into the glass, and a variety of techniques. One of them is to tip the bottle back and forth. Another is to swirl the bottle. Another is to pour 2 times and get the yeast out. And another is actually to take the beer and roll it along the bar towards the customer so the yeast will mix in. So the yeastiness is an important part. Another important part is the amount of sugar. Cane sugar is a big part of the malt bill or the fermentables for this beer. A lot of cane sugar in it. On RateBeer, this one has 1,515 ratings for an average score of 3.06 out of 5, and 33 percentile for all beers, and 49 percentile for its style, and it's considered a blonde or golden ale. It's 5.8% and 30 IBU, International Bittering Units. Okay, so let's give this one a go, shall we? Let's try the twice, and I'll even do it 3 times. Okay, so what do we got? What do we got here? It definitely is a bit hazy. I think maybe from the yeast sediment. We'll find out what's at the bottom of the bottle in a second. And you can see carbonation sticking to the sides of the glass and floating up. So it's kind of a medium dark blonde color. And as you can see, it's not really sparkling, but it does have a kind of half finger of sort of pocked white head. Aroma. Light malt, get some yeast right away, some breadiness, very gentle stone fruitiness. Blonde ale, yeah, it's close to kind of a mix of a blonde ale and a pale ale, maybe. Flavors, fruity right off the bat, something like cookies or molasses or something. It's got to be from the cane sugar. There is some grassiness and a bit of yeast bite in the finish. thin, medium body, quite a bit of carbonation on the tongue. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't think it's an exceptional beer, sorry, but it is considered an Australian style. Let's see if we get some more yeast out of this. Okay. Oh my goodness, now you see it. Now you can see it. Look at that. Look at that. It looks like somebody dumped some pepper in there. Okay, so we got a lot of sediment floating around in there. Doesn't appreciably alter the taste, except perhaps the yeast is a little bit more noticeable. Okay, so an interesting beer. And Cooper's has maintained their independence for a long time. Due to the heat of many parts of Australia, lager beers were and are the most popular style, fairly light beers, and so ales, until recently, haven't been terribly popular. So a lot of light beers, a lot of lager beers. There's a story, and I don't know how true it is, it could be apocryphal, of Michael Jackson, the famous beer writer, who apparently was almost run out of town, or run out of the country, because he made a statement of something to the effect that in Australia, the more macho the bar, the wimpier the beer. So very much like in the U.S., or dive bars will often have very light lagers. So Bud Light is the main seller in many bars in the U.S., as opposed to, say, a hipster bar, which will have, craft, heavy-duty craft beers. In any case, well, enough about that. Again, this is called Cooper's Sparkling Ale. Give it a try. You should try this once, I think, at least, and see what you think about it. Okay, and let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, or subscribe to the channel. We're going to be looking at so many different types of beers. I tend to focus on Japanese beer, craft beer especially, but again, all kinds of beers. Tune in again. We will be doing one more Cooper's beer before we leave the series of 4. That's it for today. Take care. Bye-bye.